episode of The Burn. I am Ben Newman, and you know, every single week we are bringing you stories of entrepreneurs, athletes, celebrities, individuals sharing their stories, their fire, that burn that lies inside of them, right? And the burn is really what goes unnoticed with so many individuals fighting to reach that high level of performance. The burn is that real underlying reason why you do what you do, that lights your why and your purpose on fire, that causes you to take the necessary action most people are unwilling to take. And I am fired up today because I have a friend of mine, Brian Nabavi, and we're really friends. It was all virtual, right? And it was friends virtually through the Arete Syndicate, where he was one of the founding members. You can see that axe above his head. So I'm glad that we're not doing this in person, because I don't need any axes on set for the burn. But founding member of the Arete Syndicate, which means we're already going to have synergy and alignment. But in following Brian and hearing his messaging, and this is going to come out later in the interview, there are so many ways that he thinks, how he shows up in his life, the importance of family. Now, he's also entrepreneur, Till You Collapse, unbelievable apparel brand, Vital Mind CBD, some of his new growth opportunities in his businesses. He's a guy who absolutely gets after it and owns every single day. Those are my kind of guys. Those are the guys and gals that get me fired up for life, to surround yourself with people where it's iron sharpens iron. It's we can learn from each other. We can hear a similar mindset that makes you realize just keep attacking one day at a time. So with that being said, Brian, welcome to The Burn. And man, I'm so fired up to have you on the show.
My man, I appreciate that. I'm fired up, man. You motivate and inspire me since the second I met you. Virtually, unfortunately, man, I'm the kind of guy that wants to give you a big ass hug, but you know, I'll take virtual if I got to. But man, yeah, ever since you spoke at the Arete Syndicate, you know, I'm like, you know, you see those kind of people that, like you say, resonate with each other, kind of very, you know, similar mindset, similar work ethic, and you just really click with them. You know, that's my kind of fucking person. And you're one of those. Like I said, as soon as you spoke and I found out about you, I'm like, I gotta follow this guy. And I've been following you, being motivated and inspired every day, man. You're killing it.
I appreciate it. I think what I've noticed for you and I and our messaging, and you know, it's humbling to hear those things, but we're just out here fighting every single day. And really, the first question I had for you kind of stems to that point. Your family means so much to you. Your 4 children, your wife, like that, like it showed up in so many different places. And it was like, it made me realize, like, if you want to be rolling with me, you're going to get me. And you're going to know that my family matters. And you're going to know that my values matter. And you're going to know what drives me. And I thought it was awesome, because there's so many people who, well, I can't say this or I can't do that. And is it okay if I say this way? So how important is it for people to connect to, like for you, that fire of your family? And how important is it for people to just be themselves?
I mean, that's one of the most important things. And that's one of the things I try to do, because just like you said, so many people are trying to put on a show for social media and try to be something they're not, and trying to appease everybody and trying to tiptoe around everything when they aren't truly being their genuine self. And for me, you know, and some people don't even show their family. Some people don't show their spouses. Some people are kind of weird about that. And I try to show as much as I can and being genuine as possible, that if, you know, you see me on social media, you see me in real life, it's kind of very similar to and the same. Whereas I feel like that's a rarity nowadays with social media and online, and everybody trying to please everybody and trying to appease a certain audience, when at the end of the day, if you're just true to who you are and true to being real as opposed to fake is I can't stand fake people online in real life. Like, my circle is very small, and it's because most people are fake in some kind of aspect, as far as the way they portray themselves, what they're trying to get from you, their kind of angle of why they want to even associate with you. You know, me, I'm not trying to get anything from anybody. You know, I'm going to get mine on my own, whatever it is. And if I can bring anything to you and help you out, I'm trying to help people be successful, right? That's I have my mentorship, stuff like that. Like, that's one of my big goals, is help people. Because for me, like, I built all this from nothing. Like, I'm a dumbass. I started this with $300. I barely graduated high school. I taught myself, like, before all the podcasts, before all this shit. Like, when I started, it was Google. I was searching Google every day, you know, how to videotape stuff, how to do Photoshop editing. Like, that's the reality of my story. Like, none of my story is fake. Like, it's really my story. It's how I did it. And some people are like, they think I'm full of shit. Like, you didn't start with $300. You didn't do all this stuff yourself. Well, yeah, I did. Like, that's what I did, and that's where I got to where I'm at, you know. And like you said, family is my everything. They're my motivator behind all of this. That freedom, you know, freedom to be able to do what I want when I want with them, and the time with them. And that's really what comes down to driving me through this whole thing, you know. And like you said, every day we wake up every day, and every day we take it day by day as a fight. You know, we don't give our half-ass any day. Every day we wake up, we're giving it our all, right? And we're not like, oh, this day doesn't matter. Like, every day matters, and then you add those days up over a long time, and that's how you become successful, right?
See, that's a really interesting point, because many people hear this kind of talk, every day matters, and they discount it. No, 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 no. They don't. No, it's every day. Whether it's, even if it's, to me, even if it's on a weekend, I may not work on the weekends. Now, when it's football season, I'm working 7 days a week.
Yeah,
But I may not work on the weekends. But mentally, I'm locked into being the best I can
yeah,
be, because you're an example. Like, the brands that you've built, your presence, like how you live your life, you're an example for people. So there's no turning it off. And so that's why
100%.
I love that it's just the real you. One thing that I think is really important, because there are people who are struggling with fears, doubts, uncertainties, COVID, and everything we've gone through this year. People have lost their businesses. It's devastating. Companies that should have never lost their businesses. So it's a devastating time. So there are people who, they're not where you are in business right now. However, like when you started, let's just take your new venture, okay? So
Yep,
Vital Mind CBD, new business, right?
yep.
Everybody's naturally going to go, do you do it? Do you not do it? Like, everything is rolling over here. So when you reach the point, it's a new idea. And I want everybody listening, if you're looking at that new idea, or you're struggling right now with your business, how important is it for you to think of your family, to think of that burn, to think of what's the impact on what matters to me most if I start this business, right? If I go down this road, how important is it to you when you make those decisions to silence fears by connecting to what drives you?
I mean, that's the most important thing. I think about that every day still. It's not something that, you know, you would think after. I mean, I've been self-employed now for 7 years, which isn't the longest amount of time, but, you know, I quit a 200 grand a year gig to take this leap, and everyone thought I was nuts, so out of my mind when I did that. And the reason why is because I was never seeing my family. I was missing all my son's sports games. I was going to work when they were asleep, coming home when they were asleep. And yeah, making 200 grand may sound good for people, but we were still broke out here in California with that many people making that kind of money. And I knew that I wanted to coach their sports. I wanted to be at every practice. If I had to leave 2 times in the middle of the day to be there for my family, I had to create something to allow me to do that. And I thought about them every step of the way. And I think about them now. And that fear also does drive me, because, you know, about 12, 13 years ago, when I lost everything and we got all of our stuff repoed and got kicked out on the street, basically. And I almost, quote unquote, like, failed as a provider, because I've always been the sole provider of my family. When that happened and we were at our rock bottom as a family, when we had our first baby and we were going through that when we were younger, that loss and that being at our bottom, I have that on my shoulder. Like, that chip and fear on my shoulder as a man always, always, always is there. And I don't care how hard I work and what I have to do every day putting it in. I will never let myself feel that way, or quote unquote, let my family down as far as not
Hmm.
being able to provide for them. And that drives me just as much as thinking of them, the reason why. But that fear and that experience of being at that low as a man providing for your family, I will never go back there. I don't care what I have to do physically, mentally, I will not go back there. And that's really what fires me every day. I mean, I wake up with it. You know what I mean?
I, I
So
I can't tell you how much I appreciate your transparency and sharing that, because so many people, they don't realize there's great strength in the adversity that we overcome. And so for you, right, that burn, right, it's your family, but it's also that experience of what you went through that gives you perspective. Like on a tough day, well, I'm not going back there. So if you need me to do that, no problem. I got it. I will do it. And so many
100%.
people that they don't realize it's the little decisions and choices made, as Andy would always say, when you really don't want to do it, that make the difference. When your mind is saying like, man, I don't want any part of this work, but you decide to do it. Those are the days that really fuel your future. Those are the days that manufacture the life that you've always dreamed of. And I hope everybody's listening that what you're getting from Brian and I, yes, it's intense, it's in your face, but it's the messaging that you need to hear, because that's how winning is done in life. It's not just deciding to show up when it feels good.
And it's hardness and that drive and fire in all aspects of life. Like when I tore my pec 2 years ago, I woke up the next day, I couldn't even move my arm. My chest was swollen. I woke up at 5 a.m. and I got on my stairs for 30 minutes, not even be able to move half my body. When I had, quote unquote, I mean, I didn't get tested, but I'm pretty sure I had COVID a few months back. I was sick as fuck. I still got up and did my stairs and sweated it out. Like, and there's, that's just that hardness and that mindset. It's fitness. It's every single day. It's in your business. You have to have that and actually live it, not just talk about it. Because I feel like a lot of people talk about it. A lot of people think they're working hard. A lot of people think they're doing shit, when in reality, they're not really doing half as what it takes. And that's why they're not getting to where they want to be, or they're not in reality where they portray they are,
And here's another thing that holds people back. And I want you to be direct on this, because when I saw this on your podcast, I was just like, this is so powerful, because I believe this as well, is that whether it's XYZ issue, BWA issue, or politics, but specifically in the year we're in, politics. To win the day, you only have so much time in the day. You don't get extra time. So if you decide to waste time on things that are completely out of your control, it becomes a detriment to your ability to succeed, and you don't have an excuse. You got to stop wasting your own time. And so share with me your views on staying in your lane and staying focused on what you can control. Because what I loved about this message, and I want to set the table here, please listen to Brian's words, because this is not a political message. This is, hey, no. I care about you. I care about you being successful. This has nothing to do with who you voted for. So share the opinions. I think it's so powerful.
I know you like that message. We messaged back and forth. You commented right away. And here's the thing: it's with the whole politics thing. It's not just politics. It's politics. It's people worrying about what other people are doing. People are way too focused on shit that in reality doesn't matter. It's not going to move the needle in their life. It's not going to move them forward. And if they just realize all the time and effort they're putting towards bitching or worrying or complaining or arguing about issues that don't really matter in their life, like, the whole political issue, who's going to be president, and thinking the president is going to change their life, and whoever gets elected is going to be the say all be all. The president is not going to save your life. The president is not going to do the work for you. The president doesn't even know who you are, or worrying about what this person over there is doing, and just focusing on things that don't matter to them. Like, you need to focus on, like we said, focus on your day. Focus on what you're going to do today to be more successful today, or do work today that's going to move you forward towards the next day. And people are just focused on the wrong things, man. And it's not rocket science. It's just day after day doing that work every day. And the problem is they spend half their day focused on the wrong shit, when they could have spent all that time moving towards their goals and focusing on work, right? And it's not, no one's going to save you. Like I said, political wise, I'm, probably this year more than ever, I've gotten sucked into it a little more than I ever have. Like I said, I'm not a huge political guy. I've voted for both parties. I'm kind of in the middle belief wise and stuff like that. But as I built these companies and I'm putting this work, I've never been a huge political guy. I could give a rat's ass about that. I just worry about what I do every day and how I'm going to put food on my family's table and how I'm going to reach my goals. If I have to pay a little more taxes here because of this guy, okay, I'll figure out a way to invest and save money here and figure out a way. Like, yeah, this guy may have higher taxes, but stop bitching about it and figure out a way to be creative and invest your money or move your money to combat that. Like, there's always an answer for everything. There's always a strategy for everything, right?
So here's an interesting point that you made to start, right? Because I specifically brought up the politics, but then you stretched it to other issues, which is really true. Because we get caught up trying to change things that are not in our control. But what you do have the ability to change, I hope everybody's listening, is your daily behaviors and your choices. That's 100% on you. That's what you're saying.
100%. And that's the thing is, this shit's not complicated. I mean, everyone tries to think I mean, it's the work is hard, the time and the sacrifices are hard. I mean, the first 4 years of my company, I wasn't even making enough money from the company to put food on my table. They just kind of see where I'm at now. The first 4 years, I was working 15 hours a day for a business that wasn't even making enough money to pay my bare bills. And then I would come home and I would flip shit on eBay and Craigslist, and I would hustle shit on the side just to make money
Mm.
to fucking put dinner on my table. That's what people don't want to do. They're not going to go work 15 hours a day on their business and then still have to hustle away just to pay your bills 4 years. And then finally, you do that for a long time. You kind of reach that tipping point, that hump, when everything kind of culminates and gets to that point. And then then you reach a little bit of success, and you can continue to do the same things. I'm still not changing the shit I do now. I'll still go out and hustle shit right now, even if I have a little money in my bank. I'm not going to ever turn away money. Like, that's just who I am. You know what I mean? So I don't lose those values and that hustle and work ethic now. Like that's what a lot of people do. They maybe get a little bit of success and they're like, oh, forget about what it took to get them there. You can't ever change who you are and what you did to get there, because when you start doing that, that's when you start to go the opposite way.
Yeah, so that's what, it's one of the things that I shared when we spent time together for the Arate Syndicate. I talked about don't be seduced by success. The highest performers in the world, they're not seduced by success. So maybe let's wrap things up with your mindset there, because you just touched on it. But I'd love for you to hammer on that, because so many people, they taste a little bit of success, they take time off rather than realizing the highest performers go sports, business, whatever walk of life, the highest performers, the moment that they experience success, it's like this obsession and hunger. How do I get better? So how do you
Yeah.
speak to that? Don't be seduced by success. Bring it home for us.
So for me, I mean, you can't. For me, it's hard because the whole reason behind all this is my family. So my family, time with them, balance with them, and that's something I continually struggle with because as I become more successful, as I build a team and I build a culture and I have a little money in the bank, then okay, it'd be easy. Like, oh fuck, you can lay off the gas a little bit and have all the time you want in your family, like that balance, right? But for me, I'm such a hungry person and I have such high goals for myself. And like you said, as you reach those benchmarks, you want more. For me, like it's very hard. I still struggle with it, honestly, balancing that because think I have a pretty good balance considering like what I see in the entrepreneur space and people. But for me, I could go, go, go. Like if I didn't have a family, I would probably work 15, 20 hours a day still, and I still work those kind of hours, but it's just it's a balancing game that it's hard as you become successful. And like I said, for me, with someone with such a big family and they're my importance and time with them and balancing that, it's a challenge for me because I have such big goals and I know what it's going to take to get there. And that sacrifice was made in the beginning. In the beginning, I didn't have much balance because when you're definitely building something, it's hard to have any kind of balance if you want to kind of build that foundation and kind of get off the ground. But yeah, man, that's something I struggle with every day. And I just and I share with my family, I communicate with them like it's consistent with the work. Nothing's gonna be let off the gas because the second you let off the gas is when you start to go backwards, and so many people do that and I don't know if they don't have high enough goals or they just reach that little bit of success and they're not wired the same way we are, where we taste a little bit and then we want that much more, because that's how I am. But for me, it's just it's a struggle because for me, I'm like, go, 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 fire, light a fire, let's flip tables over, let's fucking murder this shit 24/7. But then I have this beautiful family that's my everything, and they deserve my time too, And I feel like I'm 38 years old. I've done a little bit. So I have so much more to do, and I don't have much time. So I'm just like, I need to sprint, sprint,
Yep.
sprint. But then I have this over here that I need to balance, And like I said, I'm not gonna it's hard, man. I struggle with it, honestly. And I mean, I'm sure you do too. You have kids, you have
Yeah.
a family, and you're very successful. You're traveling too. At least I don't travel. I'm always here. You know what I mean? So you probably understand what I'm talking about.
No, you
I
do,
mean,
and you have to make sacrifices. But I think, for everybody listening, whether you have to travel, what other obstacles, the challenge, if you're wasting too much time, what I want to say thank you for, and especially this holiday season, and wishing you and your family the best, because we're going to turn this episode quick, because this was such an exciting message for me that I wanted
yeah,
to get out some of the specifics we talked about. But I hope everybody's hearing, and I just want to thank you for being you. Like, that's
yeah.
the biggest takeaway of why I was
Always.
so excited to have Brian
Yeah,
on. Is like,
yeah.
I just want you to be you the way Brian is authentically him. Whether it's I've fallen short here, yes, I
Oh
have to
yeah,
make sacrifice. Don't try to live your life for somebody else. I
yeah,
appreciate that in you,
yeah.
and who you are, how you authentically show up. And I just want to ask everybody, and I do not do this often, please share this episode with somebody, because like, this is the kind of real episode where people need to hear, because there's too many people wasting their time. There's too many people trying to be somebody else. There are too many people who are scared to death of what's going to happen, as opposed to staying focused on what you can control. And back me on this, Brian, but there are so many people, they keep saying, oh, I'm so excited for 2020 to end in 2020. Let me ask
Oh
you a question. Like,
God.
does COVID know that the calendar is going to flip? Because I don't think
No,
COVID knows. So
no,
it's like,
no, no. And I mean, I hate that shit. And that happens every year though, not just this year. They're always excited for next year. Like we still have 2 weeks left, 2.5 weeks left. What are you
yes.
gonna do for the next 2.5 weeks? I don't never look at it like that, because I
Yeah.
look at each day. You know what I mean? So people like think like next year is gonna be the magic year. Like, no, that kind of mindset is why nothing ever changes in your life, because you're always looking at, you're gonna start next week, you're gonna start next year. Like, start today and start working today, every day, right? Like, and that's the thing, like you touched on, do things you don't want to do when you don't want to do them. Like, there's shit I do every day I don't want to do, still every day, multiple times a day. It's
Yep.
just, are you going to do it or not? You want to be successful or not? Like, you know what I mean? It's your choice. People, you're choosing to do this. So don't blame anybody else. I can't stand when people blame the year, blame the circumstances. Yeah, circumstances this year suck, but there's still people thriving. There's still people getting through it. That's your choice to believe that way. You know what I mean? So like, have the mindset and make the choice to be successful and put the work and the effort in to get there. You know what I mean? It's,
Brian,
it's just like,
how can people stay connected with you? Because I love your passion. People got to stay connected with you.
I mean, just on my social media, at Brian Nabavi. That's it, man. That's the best way to do it. And like I said, I really appreciate you. I appreciate you having me on here, man. And like I said, I appreciate you seeing who I am, and that's what I'm about, because that's what I try to portray. And I like that you see that. You know what I mean?
Well, I can see authenticity, and it's a contagious thing, and that's another message for people to realize. Like, if you're trying to be somebody that you're not, it actually pulls people away. When you're authentically you, people are attracted to wanting to learn and know more. And it's been awesome for me to learn and to know more about you. And so I encourage everybody, follow Brian, share this episode, and continue. Right? It's Brian's burn. It's somebody else's burn that's been on the show. It's a future guest we're going to have. Keep trying to find your burn if you've struggled with it. And if you have found it, just like Brian said, it's his faith, not going back to that adversity. Keep connecting to that burn over and over and over and over again, and keep winning the day one day at a time. So I appreciate everybody that's with us every single week. Stay connected with us, because we're going to keep bringing you these episodes of The Burn.